Hello.
Doesn't work.
Hey, Kenneth, are you able to hear us?
Is there
Good evening and welcome to the February 5th, 2025 City Commission meeting. Where I'd like to convene the meeting, and Mr. Wiley, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Here.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Here.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Present. Would you please rise and join me in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll just say it's my allergies. Tonight on our agenda, under ceremonies and proclamations, I'm going to read a proclamation. We have started as of February 1st. It is Black History Month, but as many of you know, Black history is American history. So whereas each February, National Black History Month serves as both a celebration and a powerful reminder that Black history is American history. Black culture is American culture, and Black stories are essential to the ongoing story of America. And whereas in 1976, every president of the United States has declared a month of February as Black History Month, whereas Black and African Americans have made innumerable contributions that have enriched America, and indeed the lives of every American, and Black and African Americans have made and continue to make America a better place and Americans better people. And whereas through the arc of history to the present day, Black and African Americans have experienced and enhanced the inhumanity of injustices, inequalities, and whereas in the face of wounds and obstacles older than our nation itself, Black and African Americans can be seen in every part of our society today, strengthening and uplifting all of America. And on June 9th, 2020, the City Commission of the City of Oregon City individually signed Resolution 2019, stating and outlining the city's stance against racism, discrimination, and social injustice in our country and community. And whereas we celebrate National Black History Month, let us all recommit to ourselves to reach for that every American is due. Let us move forward the work and build an America that is benevolent, diverse, and united. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the City Commission of Oregon City calls upon educators, librarians, and all people of the City of Oregon City to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, activities, and do hereby proclaim February 2025 as Black History Month, and call upon the residents of Oregon City to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. And I will sign the proclamation on the 5th day of February 2025. I might add, just for the record, that we are going to have our annual Juneteenth celebration that will be on, I believe, June 21st. And the planning is well underway for that. Also, upcoming, I think it's coming up in the next few days, would be, we're going to be celebrating Chinese New Year at the college, at the Environmental Learning Center. And just as a final aside, I attended a lecture last night put on by the Oregon Historical Society, bringing back to Oregon a former writer from the Oregonian. Her name is Nicole Hannah Jones, and she was the instigator of the 1619 project that the New York Times Magazine published a few years back. And she was the guest of OHS to talk about that book and all that goes with it. I know we have that at our library, and I am rereading it, but I would encourage people to take a look at it if they have the time. Anyway, let's move on with the agenda. We have a number of people who wish to speak and under public comments. And just for the record, these are for items that are not currently on the City Commission agenda tonight. And I would also ask, just as we're beginning the new year, again, this is our third meeting in the new year, that people abide by the time limit, please. Be respectful, and please no clapping or outbursts from the audience. We are very interested in hearing what you have to say, and we look forward to hearing your comments. And when I call your name, I'm going to call people two at a time so one can be to the right and one can be to the left. Jane, I am not quite sure how to pronounce your last name, so I'm not going to even try. Okay, thank you. Jane and Jim Nacita. Mr. Nacita, would you go first, please? And can you see the time? Can everybody see the timer?
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm James Nacita. I live in Oregon City. The state of Oregon, over the past several years, has worked to disempower citizens, including here in Oregon City. Senate Bill 1573 very explicitly extinguished the ability of local municipalities to require a vote on annexations in their city charters, including our own Oregon City Charter. We can no longer really exercise meaningful zoning in the city. The state is continually pushing for tolling, an ever-present specter. Such measures make citizens feel powerless. Many give up and no longer participate. I've heard several of you over the years, from the dais where you sit, bitterly rue these acts of disempowerment on the part of the state. One of the few provisions of citizen empowerment and participatory democracy that we have left in Oregon City is our charter right to vote on urban renewal debt, which we citizens established for ourselves through the citizen initiative process. Here is an irony I ask you to consider. The Oregon Department of Revenue is not coming after our right to vote on urban renewal. The Oregon Department of Justice is not coming after our right to vote on urban renewal. Regrettably, rather it is some of you and city staff who are coming after our right to vote on urban renewal. Regrettably, as is unfortunately typical, the city attorney has been giving you a city manager-centric slant on the potential legal vulnerability of our charter right to vote provision. In the next few days and weeks, you will be presented respectfully with the other side of the story. Commissioners, I respectfully ask you not to go down the path you are going. You will meet citizen resistance and perhaps unintended consequences that you might not be anticipating. Thank you.
So Jane, if you would, one more time, tell me the pronunciation so I can get it correct. Nitschke.
Go ahead and press the button on your mic there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jane Nitschke. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to all of you. I'm speaking about the new Icon development up at Park Place. I live in Abernathy Landing, and in light of the new information that we have and what we all saw on TV with the fires down in Palisades, one thing that is very clear is that there is no infrastructure being put in right now for the new developments that are coming up. And this is a serious issue. I know that I was living there in 2020 when we had the evacuation during the fires. We left at 5 p.m. from Jada Way in Holcomb, and it took us over an hour just to get down to 205. There were a lot of people that were concerned after seeing what happened at the fire, where cars were abandoned. If that happens on Holcomb Avenue, there is nothing. People are going to have to walk down. There were flames that we could see on Redlands Road. It was a very frightening experience. I know there are a lot of other developments that are happening right now. The city has plans for the housing that's down behind the fire station and further along the road. If you add those houses and the number of cars, 2.3 cars per house, that's a lot of homes that you are adding, but that's a lot of cars. The road is narrow. The bridge only has 2 lanes, and there is no other way to get down. Not only that, but all of the roads dump out at the intersection of 2013 and Redlands Road. That is very dangerous. There was no police presence. Cars coming down on 13 were in the intersection, and no one on Redland Road could get through. There were also people that were stuck on the side roads and couldn't even get out into the intersection. I know there are some safety measures being put in for the schools, but there needs to be a traffic study. There needs to be some infrastructure development that is guaranteed by the city or by ICON. That includes bridges, lanes that are open, roads that are going down, and the intersection fixed so that more traffic can get through in a safe way. This is not just for stopping it. I'm all for new development in Oregon City. This is for keeping the people of the city safe. This is for keeping the people on Holcomb safe. And this is in the case that we may have another evacuation, that is done safely, calmly, and everyone can get through without what we saw happening in Los Angeles. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mary Ann Lee and Dee Dee Dahlstrid. Dee Dee Dahlstrid. You can get that a little closer to you if that'll help, and take you can bend it down so it's closer.
How about this?
Perfect. Yep. Thank you, Mary Ann.
Sure. Hi, my name is Mary Ann Lee. I live in Abernethy Landing in Oregon City in the Park Place neighborhood. The recent fires in the Los Angeles area provided a stark reminder of the terrifying experience we had fleeing the fires in September 2020. Our area was under a stage 2 evacuation, and we decided to leave. Even though our area did not have a level 3 or leave now order, Holcomb Boulevard and the limited side streets were so clogged that it took us over an hour to get out of the Park Place neighborhood. We were able to get out because various Good Samaritans gave us space to turn into the road ahead of them. In the case of a level 3 evacuation, we might not have encountered such generous souls. Switching to the present, no improvements have been made to our evacuation routes, and an expedited land division application for an additional 50 units along Holcomb Boulevard is being considered. This project will further complicate emergency evacuations for our neighborhood. We had reached out to our elected officials regarding our concern. State Senator Mark Meek, our mayor, and Planning Commission staff has reached out to us. In Senator Meek's response, he stated he had contacted the City Public Works Department, and they mentioned some key infrastructure projects that are included in the Park Place concept, namely the extension of Swan Avenue and Holly Lane. These extensions would help, but no timeline for implementation seems to have been defined. Mayor McGriff had reached out to the Planning Commission staff on our behalf, and we met with planning development personnel today. My takeaway from that meeting is that the main issue is getting appropriate funding for the Swan Avenue and the Holly Lane extensions. Maybe that should be pointed out when these extensions are mentioned to address our concerns. I would like, though, to say all city personnel with whom we interacted have been professional, prompt, and courteous, and we appreciate their time. During previous discussions of the Park Place concept plan, during Planning Commission and City Commission meetings, area residents have repeatedly emphasized that infrastructure improvements need to be put into place before development is allowed to proceed. We are not against development, but we want it done properly. Our request is unchanged, that additional evacuation routes be established before additional home developments are built. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome home.
Hi. I won't be able to take any questions because I can't hear the dais up there. Anyway, but the volume on this side is getting better. But anyway, my name is Dorothy Dahlstrid. I live in Oregon City since 1975. So I got a fishing license for life for $6 because I'm a resident for over 50 years. Anyway, I'm not here to brag about that. I'm here to brag about the interactive talk that Oregon City Parks Foundation held at the Oregon City Pool. We had over 45 people attend, and it went from 10 o'clock to noon. It was an interactive talk. We had the backdrop was the new Oregon City pollinator garden that was planted, and the title of our talk was More Than Flowers. So it tried to take you past just planting flowers, but building habitat, because the cycle of our invertebrates lasts a full cycle of a year. So how to wake them up, how to put them to bed, and hopefully how to feed them properly. It was really, really very interesting, and so many people came back with so many questions. We had a lot of people asking about bees and how to bring those back and how to become a bee USA. We're so close to that goal. One more flower garden, we got it. It's pretty minimal requirement. And then we get another sign to hang with our Friends of Trees sign. So I'd like to thank our city parks and Melissa for helping us organize the room. And we were able to set it up and break it down between two other events right in the middle. So thank you very much. The other topic I wanted to speak to about is a passion of mine, and that is our urban renewal. I have voted for urban renewal ever since it began, and I'm a huge supporter of our urban renewal. I also support the right to vote on it. I really studied this last one. I was ready to jump in onto that one, but a lot of our other community was not about to. We cannot lose or give up any chance of our right to vote as an American citizen. That is so important to us. And we put that in there for a reason. If we're going to direct our city attorney and staff to see how we can circumvent it and maybe get some dollars out of there and get some spending, have them direct it towards ODOT and Clackamas County, giving Park Place an exit out of their inferno. If that place goes on fire, we have to remember, when we had our fires, it was just months after Paradise, and so many people perished in their cars trying to leave. That same thing's going to happen to Holcomb. Look at how people were trapped in Los Angeles, and that was flat with lots of exits. So that is my point to stress that if we're going to direct our attentions and our city taxpayers' monies, please don't direct it to urban renewal, direct it towards Park Place exit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Well, we always save the best for last. Tom Guile. What about that saying something about the first shall be last and the last shall be first, something like that?
It's biblical.
Yes.
I'm going to read this to make sure I say everything accurate. My name is Tom Guile. I'm a resident of Oregon City and quite well known, I guess. I put this out on Chit Chat over the weekend, and we had over 200 responses there, and also on Park Place. So good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As president of our HOA, I speak to you tonight on behalf of the residents of Trailview Heights and other communities along Holcomb Boulevard. The recent fires and deaths in Los Angeles have brought up the fears many of us have in the Park Place community along Holcomb Boulevard. Many died in Los Angeles. Who was getting the blame? The mayor and the governor were made the culprits who did not listen to the citizens and failed to plan appropriately. You should remember the fires of a few years ago around the perimeter of Oregon City. Due to the intense smoke and fire, those of us in Park Place were on a phase 2 evacuation. Residents and communities further out began packing their valuables and clogging any available roads. Most of you have probably not been up Holcomb Boulevard or visited any of the side streets such as Winston Drive. Winston Drive is a half block only entrance and exit for over 100 homes. Trailview was developed in there. During the phase 2, it was over an hour to exit off of Winston Drive because Holcomb Boulevard itself was blocked solidly and was not just residents of Park Place, but those fleeing communities further out. Many of us just gave up and drove home. Better to burn in our homes than in our cars. And there were hundreds of abandoned burned cars in Los Angeles and Lahaina, as witnessed on the news. We realized that our city commission was wise to vote to decline ICON's application a few years back. We also realized that ICON took its powerful persuasion to the state to override your decision. However, I'm here tonight to inform you that I and others have just written to the governor, our mayor, our state senator, Mark Meek, our fire marshals, and more, that we need a review and help. If we could place a moratorium on development here in Oregon City just a few years ago for sewer alterations, why can't there be a moratorium declared to stop further development along Holcomb until a safe evacuation plan can be developed for our area? To allow ICON to submit for approval an expedited application for more homes along Holcomb is ludicrous and needs further review for a definitive plan for evacuation before any more homes can be built along the narrow two-lane road of Holcomb Boulevard. This testimony is now a matter of record that our citizens will hold our leadership responsible if any such catastrophe should happen here in Oregon City. Think it can't happen here? Ask that of the citizens of Palisades and other Los Angeles communities. A lot of those 200 people said they'd be here tonight, but they said it won't do any good. They're going to hear the same thing from the city and from the planning department and the city manager that, well, plans are in effect, but we haven't heard anything and it's still the way it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just for the information, all of the letters that I received regarding this particular topic, I forwarded to the staff. That particular development proposal is not coming before this body for any reason at this point in time, but I wanted everybody to know that I appreciated getting the information. We have been, I guess I will say nicely blessed with Holcomb Boulevard, which was not developed within the city of Oregon City. It's all county that came into the city because of the health hazard annexation. So. And with that, I want to go ahead and we received a letter from Clackamas Fire District, and just for everybody, it says, Mayor and Oregon City Commission, the fire remains active at the Blue Heron site, as you are aware, Tumwater Village, let's refer to it. This is a complex location for multiple reasons, and I am proud of the swift and coordinated response from our first responders, as well as our interagency teams and partnership with the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde. Their efforts successfully protected critical infrastructure in nearby homes. I also want to express my deep appreciation for the support and coordination we received from Oregon City under the leadership of City Manager Tony Conkle and Police Chief Sean Davis. And I might also add, in my posts, I said, and our Public Works Department. Given the ongoing nature of the situation and the number of stakeholders involved, we are preparing an emergency briefing to ensure all key parties, including Oregon City, the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners, Federated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, the Willamette Falls Trust, and the public are fully informed. We will be scheduling virtual meetings as soon as possible, and we'll provide further details shortly. Thank you again for your partnership. We are all profoundly grateful that no lives were lost and that the weather conditions continue to support our containment efforts. Signed, Nick Brown, Fire Chief, Clackamas Fire District. So stay tuned, more information coming. Next, we have a presentation from our now larger but mighty Natural Resources Committee, and come on up. You're gonna make her get up there all by herself, or you guys are gonna come and support her by sitting with her? Nope, you're not coming to sit with her? Yeah. She'll appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Test, test.
It's the new and improved system.
Excellent. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Samantha Wolf. I am the chair of our city's Natural Resources Committee, and I am also here today to present on our recommendation regarding the city's urban forestry efforts, particularly focusing on preservation and enhancement of our city's canopy. To better support our Tree City USA designation and overall needs of our city, we believe swift action is necessary to address the alarming decline of our tree canopy and to establish a more robust and sustainable approach to urban forestry. Urban trees exist in Oregon City, and the city has a responsibility to maintain this green infrastructure in the street right-of-ways and in public parks and other city-owned property. Ensuring our trees are planted, preserved, and maintained is a critical function of a city management, as any other component of roads, sidewalks, utilities, and more. Whether gray or green infrastructure, failure to properly provide and maintain these aspects of our city landscape results in reduced services to our community and greater expense when they break or decline prematurely. So how do we go about understanding and conducting improvements? The first way is to understand what we have, and that is a data gap. So currently, Oregon City lacks a comprehensive tree inventory, which makes it difficult to accurately assess our urban canopy coverage. Existing reports for Tree City USA designation are insufficient and don't provide a full analysis. Fortunately, there are ways to resolve this. You can do it at a various scale. You can do a canopy analysis using aerial imagery, or you can do a tree-by-tree inventory. The task is possible and knowable. Knowing something is better than nothing. This will help us to identify areas of insufficient shade, prioritize planting, and improve future planning and resource allocation. Currently, we also lack a clear urban forestry plan. City's comprehensive plan contains some goals, but there is no adopted urban forestry plan with actionable policies for tree planting or preservation. This is a gap in the city's structure and services where we cannot state how the Oregon City is going to maintain an extensive tree canopy in comparison to any sort of goal. We have an inadequate code protection for mature trees. For example, the current code allows for the removal of large, healthy trees during development with minimal replacement requirements. But we cannot point to any explicit goal to require preservation of existing trees. And without this goal to incentivize retention, development will continue to clear as many existing trees as possible to reduce their expenses and reduce the benefit of trees to the community as a whole. So our solution is to revise the code to include explicit protections for mature trees and set clear standards for tree retention, and mitigation during development. Additionally, Oregon City's code doesn't prioritize the preservation of large mature trees, which provide the most substantial canopy and environmental benefit. Given the time it takes to grow, mitigation is not an adequate recourse in all the cases. Only the Heritage Tree Program offers some level of protection. So the solution we recommend is to implement a more stringent standard for retaining these large mature trees. Examples for trees larger than 20 inches across in the trunk, in addition to the mitigation requirements for the loss of these trees. We would also recommend modifying our fee structures to incentivize these tree retentions over removal and use the funds for tree planting and maintenance, particularly for city-owned trees. Additionally, essential updates to tree code would include best practices from other cities that we would recommend include Portland and Milwaukee to emphasize preservation during both public and private development. Thus, we do not need to write our code from a blank slate. We can utilize best practices used elsewhere in the region. We also recommend appointing a city forester to oversee tree management, guide policy and updates, and ensure better enforcement of tree code. We also recommend the development of an implementation of an urban forest management plan. This helps to develop a citywide plan that aligns with community values, sets canopy goals, and anticipates future challenges. We understand that all this cannot come out of the air. We need to anticipate all the costs and expenses that can come with it. We don't need to do all this work alone. There are grants available from the state to provide funding for tree assessments, inventories, and urban forest management plans. All these would also contribute to our Tree City USA designation and provide us a good gold star. We recommend all these improvements not as a benefit to an amenity, but as a benefit to our green infrastructure. We would recommend pursuing these grants and volunteer time to implement these incentives without significantly affecting city expenses. We understand that there are many other priorities for the city, but we think this is an immediate, urgent, necessary action. The canopy is losing every day, every year, and is it accelerating? Action is needed now to prevent further environmental and social costs to the future. Thank you for your time.
Are there any questions, folks? Gentlemen? Well, I have some good news for you that we were, the last neighborhood meeting that I went to for the McLaughlin neighborhood, there was a request to solicit some volunteers to start helping to do a tree inventory in our neighborhood. So you've got at least one that I know of, and maybe this is a request that can be put forth to CIC to ask them to help out. I think all your points have been very well taken. I know in my neighborhood last year, a tree was taken out, a very large one that provided shade for a very small rental unit, and the owner got permission because the tree might push the sidewalk up. So there was a lot of concern about that particular issue in our neighborhood. So I'm aware of some other issues in other places, but thank you very much for all your work. And I'll look forward to your next meeting where we're going to bring forward the people that you want to recommend to be on the board. Thank you again for all your support and help. We will definitely take all of this under advisement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work. All right, next on our agenda, we have the consent agenda item. It's a change order number 2 for the Holcomb Boulevard Safe Routes to School project. And that's a project that it's been much needed and much welcomed in the Holcomb Park Place School area. Do you have a motion or do you have questions? I think it's pretty straightforward from the staff report.
I'll move to approve change order number 2 for the Holcomb Boulevard Safe Routes to School project.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. We have one public hearing tonight on our agenda. It's the first reading of Ordinance 24-1013, vacating sections of public right-of-way within Clackamas County Housing Authority, also called Clackamas Heights, legally addressed as 13900 Gain Street. And we had a previous vacation we approved last time. I don't know if is there a staff report necessary? I mean, this is pretty, again, very cut and dry, very straightforward. Any questions? A motion, please?
We still need to open the public. Oh,
I know,
sorry.
going to. I'm just asking if they have any questions before we get to the next part. So I'd like to open the public hearing on the first reading of Ordinance 24-1013. Is there anybody here who would like to speak to for or against or neutral on this particular item? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the, I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of Ordinance 24-1013.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Ordinance number 24-1013, an ordinance of the City of Oregon City vacating streets A, B, C, and D in Victoria Heights and J.T. Apperson subdivisions near 13900 Gain Street.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Tony, is there a chance that they're going to be coming back again to talk to us about how things are progressing on this particular development proposal?
Nothing that I'm aware of, no.
Did you ask them if they would be willing to come?
Okay.
You know, just a short, brief, how's things going? All right, item number B under general business is the Oregon City Antique Fire Truck donation.
Oops. I'm sorry, did you want to do 3A?
Did I miss 3A?
Yep. The resolution for the tobacco?
Oh, no, that's 9A, not 3. We don't have a 3A.
Or sorry, 9A.
Okay, yeah, okay, sure. On our agenda tonight, we have Resolution 2504, the resolution in support of banning the sale of flavored tobacco and synthetic nicotine products and protecting youth from a lifetime of nicotine addiction. This is something that was brought forward by our Youth Advisory Commission. They had had some presentations and made a recommendation to us. We just had a brief discussion about it last time, and we asked for a resolution to be brought back for review and approval by this commission. And we have some members of our Youth Advisory Commission. Did you want to say anything? You can't talk from back there, Cole. So if you're going to say something, come on up. Looks like, Jack, are you coming up?
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor McGriff, and City Commissioners. I'm Hannah Schmidt. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist. I will let the Youth Advisory Commissioners introduce themselves.
I am Jack Solari. I'm a member of the Youth Advisory Commission.
I'm Cole Solari. I'm a member of the Youth Advisory Commission.
Do you have any comments that you want to make?
I just wanted to state that we still stand in support of this resolution and that the Youth Advisory Commission highly recommends that you pass it.
Oh, I know, none of them.
Well, that's very exciting, and we're happy to facilitate this. I had a very brief discussion with one of the county commissioners about it today, so I said, look forward to seeing us in the future. We will be coming to you at one of your public meetings to ask the county commissioners to do this as well. And then we also asked staff to look into, per your request, to see how we might be able to ban it within the city limits of Oregon City. So that is coming up. Any questions, gentlemen?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Absolutely.
Can I make one quick comment?
Oh, you may make a long comment if you like.
No.
It doesn't have to be quick.
It's very short, and I guess I'm getting a reputation for being Mr. Typographical Error, but in the heading, on the second line, it says nicotine instead of nicotine. That's all.
Well, we're supposed to give those to staff ahead of time so they can make those corrections. Go ahead, Adam, whenever you're ready.
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, thank you for being here and thank you for your advocacy on this. And with that, I move to approve resolution number 25-04.
Second.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Do I have multiple copies of that one to sign or just one? Just one? Okay. So you didn't get the message that I said, please bring multiple copies.
Actually, no, I believe there are more copies.
Are there more? Because I only see one. Well, let me just check real quick.
We need to fix the spelling.
I know.
Sounds like.
I'm just seeing if there's more than one. Yeah, there is. Okay, so we'll fix the spelling and make sure everybody on the Youth Advisory Commission gets a copy, a signed copy, so that they have that, and then we will plot our course to move forward with talking to the county commissioners. Thank you. All right, now let's talk about fire trucks.
Okay. Thank you, evening mayor and commission. Tonight before you is consideration for approval of the donation of 3 antique Oregon City fire trucks to the Oregon Fire Service Museum, as outlined in the agreement. Oregon City owns 3 antique fire trucks, a 51 Kenworth, a 30 Studebaker, and a 39 Seagrave. The Oregon Fire Service Museum has requested that the city donate these trucks for incorporation into their collection and display at the museum located in Salem. The 1951 Kenworth is already in possession of the Oregon Fire Service Museum and has been on display for the last 30 years. The museum representatives have asked that the city remove its existing lien on that truck and allow the museum to take full possession. The other 2 trucks, the Studebaker and Seagrave, are currently being stored at a Clackamas fire station located off Harding Road. The museum would also like to acquire these trucks to display. Additionally, Clack Fire has expressed the desire to reclaim the storage space that's currently being used. The museum presented the initial proposal to the commission back in June of '24. During that meeting, the commission expressed interest in the agreement but requested amendments prior to the signing. The attached agreement has been renegotiated based on that feedback and includes new terms, such as the transfer of title from the city to the museum of all 3 trucks for an initial 5-year period, with the ability for the city to reclaim title at the conclusion of that time, and upon reimbursement of the museum for restoration and maintenance, excluding routine maintenance, for up to $7,500 for all 3 engines. Alternatively, the city may decide to extend the agreement with the museum for an additional 5-year increments. The agreement still preserves the city's first right of refusal for the city to reclaim the trucks for $200 each, should the museum ever determine they no longer wish to own the vehicles. The only change made to this provision of the agreement clarifies that the city commission must make the final decision on whether to reclaim the fire trucks. The agreement still allows the city to use of the trucks for events such as Touch a Truck and parades, so long as the city becomes an official member of the museum for insurance purposes at $100 per year, and sufficient notice is provided. Insurance is purchased and transport for the trucks is arranged by the city. So we believe we've incorporated the concerns and ideas that were presented by the commission. I'd like to thank the museum and their volunteers. They've been amazing to work with. Ms. Raines has done a great job of trying to work with them and include the request from the commission. We also have Mr. Kenneth Lauterbach available online to provide additional information or answer any questions.
Mr. Lauterbach, did you want to say anything?
Only that we would love to have these vehicles in the museum. We were just talking last night about, making certain that they would be indoors and protected. And I believe your representative there covered all the salient points. I know that Clackamas Fire has indicated that they would like to have these fire engines moved out of the station where they are currently stored, and for whatever it might be worth. I've been working on and restoring antique fire engines for over 50 years, and in fact, I had a strong desire to own that 39 C grade myself when I saw it after its restoration in the 1980s. But if you agree to our proposal, they'll have a good home, they'll be on display for the public, and as stated, they will be available for any event that Oregon City might need them for.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions or comments? Rocky?
How are they going to be transported? They're not all running, right?
Correct.
Okay.
At this time, obviously, I have not had the opportunity to try to start them. They were running when they were put into the building where they are. Having said that, we would not drive them, I don't believe, from Oregon City or Beaver Creek area down to Brooks. We would, well, let's put it this way. I have a friend that has a trailer that we use to haul our own personal collection of fire engines on, and I believe that he would haul them down there for us. And I would probably be involved in coming out and getting them running. I don't think it would take much to get them running.
Rocky, you might have an opportunity to ride in the truck on the back of a truck down to Brooks.
Well, I know I've ridden on the back of at least one or two of those and pushed a couple of them as well in my lifetime. So I as a city commissioner who's been here for a while, there is many times where I say nothing surprises me. And every once in a while there is a little surprise. And a couple months back when we, I don't know how many months it's been, but it was a surprise to know we still had 3 fire trucks. And I personally was excited about that because we haven't had the fire department under our city purview for a long time. So knowing that we still have 3 Oregon City fire trucks is great. This partnership is, I think, a good one because one, the trucks will finally be able to be seen by the public. They'll be well taken care of. And it still gives us a little bit of hope of, utilizing them and letting people see them in town at some point in the future. So I appreciate your patience on this because I know this has taken a while to get to this point, but I appreciate it and I think they're in good hands.
Thank you. Tony, is this agreement, from what I'm seeing, this agreement does not include the membership dues paid by the city like the original one did.
No,
is that correct?
Yes,
It does. Yes,
it does?
In order for us to
Yeah.
use them, we have to be members for liability purposes.
Okay.
And
We cover under their insurance if we were members. Let's say we want to have it for some future event and have, Rocky ride down the street in one. We want to make sure that I'll be right there next to you. So we need to be a member of their group to be covered that way. Michael.
No, I think this is great. I think this hits all the concerns that we brought up the last time. It seems very fair to both parties. It's wonderful that the trucks will be back on display to the public. And yet we still have the option, should we figure out a way to get them on display back here in town. That's going to take some time, but we have if we're able to do that, but we have the option to get them back if we would like to. So I think it's fair to all parties. It's a great agreement.
And Commissioner Morrow, I just wanted to point out in the agreement, there was a discussion last time about the dues being paid to cover the insurance. We did include a provision in there that in the event the donor resumes ownership of the 3, we'll deduct the membership dues paid by the donor from the maintenance expense attributed to the 3 the vehicles. So there was a discussion last time about if the dues we were paying, should we want to buy them back, could be applied to the total that we owe. We did incorporate that.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I don't know why we wouldn't want to do this. From the previous discussions that we had, I would rather have somebody that will love and care for them and have a place where they can be restored. And I didn't have any objection to them owning them because we can still go down and visit them. But we've been able to work this out. And I want to thank you, Mr. Lauerback, and the members of your organization for the care and maintenance of all the other fire vehicles that you own. This is something that is significant to the members of the state of Oregon and our fire service folks. And thank you for everything that you're doing. And I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve item 9B, Oregon City Antique Fire Trucks donation.
Second.
Commissioner Adam Morrow.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll move on to item number C, which is the Adaptive Reuse Building Rehabilitation Program 2.0. This is, Mr. Graham's going to do a quick review, went to the Urban Renewal Commission, and it's now back to the City Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Commission, and also City Manager. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm James Graham, Economic Development Manager. The proposal that you see before you is something that you're very all familiar with, the Adaptive Reuse Building Rehabilitation Program. And tonight, and as you know, the Urban Renewal Commission reviewed this program as well, thinking that it would be appropriate place for the Urban Renewal Commission. However, there are other issues that have to be addressed with the Urban Renewal Commission, so it was decided to bring it back to the City Commission because the Urban Renewal and the City Commission were interested in getting this program up and running as quickly as possible. So with that, you have the Adaptive Reuse Building Rehabilitation Program 2.0 before you, and so I will leave it up to you for a discussion regarding its funding.
Oregon City Association. Would you like to say anything in support of this? That would be helpful. No? It would be helpful to hear your opinion.
You're too far away from your mic.
I think they can hear me. Mr. Henderson, would you like to come up? Thank you for indulging me on that.
Does that work? Great.
Of course it does.
Seth Henderson, Southwest Portland. Been on the Downtown Oregon City Association board now for a couple of years. We have worked with the Main Street grants to try to get a number of projects downtown going. You're probably aware of a few of them that have been a challenge that we've been working on for almost 3 years now. This program would allow us to couple city funds with state funds and move along a lot of projects downtown that otherwise would not occur. I think you're aware of a lot of the financial challenges around maintaining historic buildings, and I think most people in this room can agree that that's something that we should endeavor to protect. And I realize coming back from the Urban Renewal Commission that we are now talking about general funds, and that is a very touchy subject, but when you consider what is of most value in Oregon City, what is irreplaceable, perhaps this would be a good use of funds. Any questions that I can answer in regards to what type of projects would be supported by this program?
You could tell them.
Seismic upgrades would help out. Facade improvements, replacement. There's a few buildings downtown that desperately need new roofs. I don't know if that's necessarily included in the program. I think perhaps it was. I know it's excluded from a lot of state grants. We recently took applications for a $400,000 Main Street grant. There were 8 of them. 8 applications that came in. I think 6 of those 8 had some component of roof replacement, and unfortunately we have to cut that out because as far as the state is concerned, that does not preserve history or add to economic vibrancy. So this grant program, thank you very much for considering it, would actually augment some projects that currently don't have any funding sources.
Any questions for Mr. Henderson? Thank you.
Great, thanks for putting me on the spot.
Anytime. I'm sure it's been reciprocated many times. Discussion?
Well, I'll just say, we've had several discussions on this, and I think it's in the form that we want. I guess my only question would be, assuming we approve it tonight, how quick can we publicize it and get it underway? Because my recollection is that $150,000 amount would be out of our current biennium, which is, the clock is running on, and we'll have it, again, come back at part of our budget discussion, but will we be able to get this out in time to hit this year's budget?
In terms of advertising, yes.
Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Further discussion?
I think James was hedging that a little bit by saying, yes, we'll get it out. What happens after that is a little bit of, what we get in, how they're reviewed, what comes together when the funds are allocated. I mean, there's a little bit of unknown here of how this process is going to go. If we get one, it's probably going to go pretty quick. If we get a bunch and there's got to be some decisions made, we're going to have to work through that a little bit.
Understood. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I've made it very clear that I have a really hard time with this coming from the general fund. The other day at our CIC meeting, there were conversations about priorities that our CIC members would like to see funded, and it was brought up that we have X amount of dollars in contingency, surely there ought to be enough money, and I brought up the fact that when you use that argument for every single priority that the 5 of us have, every single priority that our directors have, that our city manager has, that the residents who come to us, including at our very last meeting, even though we aren't in a budget cycle, have, that adds up very quickly. So given that we're at the tail end of a fiscal year, of our biennial budget, I am all right moving forward with this. I know that when we have our budget discussions, hopefully we'll be able to have some more holistic conversations about where this might go, because I am supportive of this policy, and I really appreciate the work that Economic Development, Mr. Graham, has done on this. It's just a matter of making sure that it has the right funding source and that we're getting the results that we would like to see. So with that, I will be supporting this and look forward to having more conversations come budget season.
Anything?
So like Adam, I have concerns about this coming from the general fund. I don't know if I've come around the way he has this. This feels very much like an urban renewal project and feels like very much we should be using urban renewal money for that. And we have constraints on our general fund. And I don't know if I'm sold on the idea of taking money from the general fund in order to expedite the process. I'd rather find a resolution to pull that money from the urban renewal fund, whether it be via grant or some other way. But I don't like the idea of funding coming from the general fund when we have so many constraints on it, despite my support for the project and the rehabilitation of downtown.
I guess I would agree with the previous comments. However, in a year where we're losing the courthouse, and that is something we don't really know how it'll affect downtown, I think it's good to, put some efforts into making sure we're, supporting downtown and revitalizing some of it, because we don't know what's going to happen in the next year or two downtown. But I think the points that have been made already are good, and we will definitely have a conversation about that when we get into the budget.
Well, while I don't fundamentally disagree with my colleagues, we already tried option number one, which was recommended very strongly by Commissioner Morrow, that we go back to urban renewal. We know what the situation there is, and it's not an option at this time. So I guess I will ask Mr. Conkle, in terms of our budget that we have, in light of comments that have been made about taking stuff from the budget when things are constrained, et cetera. Could you sort of address that? Not sort of, would you please address that? I believe when we talked to Mr. Zook, that there was not a constraint that we may feel might be there. I guess I'm just trying to get some clarity on that.
Yeah, I think we're comfortable with the $150,000, as we've got four months left roughly in our 2-year budget cycle. When you take over the totality of those 2 years, we budget for projects, staffing, expectations, and we've done a good job of managing the budget to what was approved. As you're well aware, we've had, vacancies that we've tried to fill in certain departments that are general fund related. Let's say Parks Director or police FTE positions. So, all those put together at the end of the day, even though they're little, do add up, right? So we are comfortable that these funds are available for these last four months. How that fits into the beginning, will be a discussion for the budget committee for the next 2 years, right? Because there are certain assumptions that we would make. If this would have been included 2 years ago under the existing budget, it would have put us further below our recommended ending fund balance. So essentially structurally imbalanced. If you included this 150,000 at the beginning, or 300 if it was per year, a year and a half when the existing biennial budget was adopted. So, but at this point, we are comfortable with knowing where we're at in the budget cycle and how we did on the first year and how we've done up to this point, that there are funds available.
The thing that I also want that you reiterated is that we don't know when we start out with the first part of the budget that we may have vacancies or we might have savings here and there. I mean, we anticipate that we're going to be budgeting for the full amount, that all staff positions will be filled, but we don't know that when we start out.
Certainly.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And it's for those reasons why I am going to support this. However, I will note that it becomes a very slippery slope when you reach the end of a biennial budget to, I mean, ideally, we're going to have those reserves in the next budget as well. And should we come up with another thing that we would like to be funded by general fund, with the expectation that it will be taken care of fully in the next budget, I mean, you just get in a position where you add at the end, saying we're going to do it temporarily with the ending fund reserves, and then come to the next one with the expectation that it's going to continue staying there. So that's where I still have an issue, but again, I really do appreciate the work that went into this, and so that's the reason why I will be supporting it.
Mike?
I agree with all those comments. I don't think it'd be any of our preferences to do this out of general fund, but as Commissioner Smith pointed out, there is a kind of a different degree of urgency right now, and this seems like the path we can get it going, and the bigger, more difficult discussion we'll have coming up at budget time. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't disagree with you. I think that there are a number of factors that are different. I mean, we kind of had the same discussion when we were talking about where we were going to get the extra money to fund fireworks display. So, and a program for our community. And we did that basically for our community, and I think it was very successful. So if you would be so kind.
I'll move to approve the Adaptive Reuse Building Rehabilitation Program.
Second.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Nay.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So we've got to get with our folks downtown that you are aware of, Victoria and Seth, and tell them to get in touch with Mr. Graham right away. I'm sure the application is probably basically ready to go with maybe a little bit of fine tuning, and we can get somebody off the dime and move forward. So thank you very much. All right, next on our agenda, we have the 2025 State Transportation Funding Joints Values and Outcomes document from the C4 Transportation Group. And is that Dana or is that you?
I'll go ahead and take it.
Okay.
So we are requesting approval to use the Oregon City logo on the joint values and outcomes for the 2025 state legislative transportation packet by the communities of Clackamas County. So this was approved in 2024, where we agreed, this was worked out at C4. It was brought to the commission, was approved to use the logo on the 2024. So the document is the same. Obviously, with the November election, there have been changes on many jurisdictions that agreed to the document. So the Clackamas County staff requested the jurisdictions who'd like to have their logo on there, if necessary, bring it back for their councils or commissions to reaffirm the use and support for the document. We are recommending approval. It seems like these are still consistent with the position of the city as well as our partners throughout the county. Commissioner Morrow, Commissioner Mitchell might have more to add beyond what I've presented. No, great.
I think this was through my two colleagues to my left. A couple of changes were made in this from last year, and those were added in,
Correct.
Which is much appreciated. I don't see any reason why. I mean, I got asked informally by staff, and I said, unless you changed it, I said, we're probably good to go, but, you know, let's go through the process. So can we have a motion?
I move to approve the use of the Oregon City logo on the joint values and outcomes for the 2025 state legislative transportation package by the communities of Clackamas County.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The one thing that I did note in my meeting over at the county today was that it would be, and I think maybe it just has to be an email, but we had 2 hearings by the legislature and on transportation issues, and we have yet to receive any sort of, well, what was the outcome of your discussions? You know, we met in Happy Valley, we met in Gladstone, and we haven't really seen any documentation come from those folks about, well, what did you learn? What did you hear? And, you know, what are you how can we move forward? So I think that should be a request from not only us, but other jurisdictions who sat through many of those very long meetings and testified on behalf of our city about what we saw was needed without getting into the whole tolling issue. But maybe that's a request we can make and say, hey, what happened? Anyway, so our last item is, at least under this item, number 9, is update on discussion on the process by Clackamas County to sell the courthouse located, I guess it's to have a disposition of it located on Main Street.
Thank you. The Board of County Commissioners convened the Main Street Courthouse Committee in October of '24 to recommend a course of action for the disposition of the current courthouse in downtown. The advisory committee recommended that the board sell or transfer the courthouse to an entity that would fully contribute to the economic vitality of the downtown Oregon City area. County staff was instructed to develop a request for expressions of interest, or RFEI, which was approved, and move forward with the solicitation process. The board also indicated that a joint meeting with the City Commission would be beneficial to discuss the courthouse and the RFEI process. Questions that have been raised include concerns about the future disposition of Liberty Plaza, how public access to Liberty Plaza can be maintained, including access to power, measures that will be taken to secure the building that also minimize the visual impacts along Main Street once the facility is vacated. The mayor participated on the Main Street Courthouse Committee and provided testimony at the June 21st Board of County Commissioners meeting concerning the RFEI process. The mayor sent a follow-up email to the board reiterating the importance and significance of preserving Liberty Plaza for public use and to be able to partner with the board in the review of the RFEI. Staff is requesting the City Commission provide direction to staff as determined necessary based on any discussions or deliberations.
So let me just add a postscript to that. So I was requested to come in and meet with Chair Roberts, and I had a meeting with him this afternoon. We had, of course, a variety of topics, including the SHS process, making funding available, talking about the improvements at 213 and Redland Road due to the impact of the courthouse on that particular intersection, state transportation funding, gas tax, evacuation plans, after event plans. It was a very long list. We did get around to talking about the courthouse. He is asked about how we were going to proceed with the joint meeting. And so I said, well, do you want us to take the lead or do you want to take the lead? So I think I'll just make sure we take the lead in trying to get that set up. He wants very much to meet with us, talk about this. The last issue that we also talked about was just general cooperation, how we were going to be working together in light of the fact that there's a new administration in the new chair and a new commissioner, and he's talking about the fact that the county hasn't done a strategic plan in 4 years, and they are in the process of hiring a facilitator. I told him that we would be doing some goal setting this weekend ourselves, but he was interested in having their consultants talk to us in sort of a roundtable. He's looking at some broad outreach with regard to what the community members in the county would say about what the county's priorities are. So that's kind of rounded it out a little bit, talked about police services, county serves, police serves county sheriff services. He thinks our department is totally excellent, which of course I could not disagree. Basically, there was definitely, I felt, a very much an attitude of let's sit down and talk about issues that we have in common and how we can continue to work together. So that was a brief sum. Plus then we discovered all these people that we know in common, which is interesting. So.
Okay, on this topic, first off, I think a meeting with the county commissioners as soon as possible is great.
Based on your comment.
On this topic and on others, but I want to make sure to me, there's two things going on. One is the RFEI and the long-term decision of what happens. More urgently, it's obvious now that that building is going to be vacant for a period of time. They're not even going to review or finalize, the goal is to finalize or make a selection on the RFEI at the end of April, which is about the time that they're going to vacate. And so the point that I made to Mr. Conkle and Mayor McGriff is, what is that building going to look like? What are they going to want to do to secure it? And what's that going to look like in the middle of Main Street? Will we have access to Liberty Plaza, and will we have access to the power at special events? Right. And my concern is, I don't think we can wait for a meeting with the county commissioners for that. I think that may be something where this commission could request our staff to reach out to county staff and try to be a part of what those decisions are, so that we're not surprised by fortress chain link fence.
Yeah,
on
I would
May
agree.
1st. Yeah, and I don't think waiting for the commissioners.
No, that was a separate topic we had. I asked.
This is something that we need to get on now.
I asked him if we could, our staff could reach out to Nancy Bush, who's the person who's dealing with all this, to talk about that particular issue. I didn't connect it to waiting until the meeting.
Okay.
I just said, we don't want a big gigantic chain link fence to go up around it, because number one, that just invites people to want to get over a chain link fence. So I don't know, I guess we could ask staff to reach out to Nancy Bush to talk about that particular issue, because it is a concern, and it's a concern of the Downtown Oregon City Association and probably anybody that goes downtown. You don't want, and so they will not be vacating in April, I can tell you that. So the plan to vacate is going to basically be from May until probably June, July, because they have to they can only stop the court they can't hardly even stop the court. Sure. So they've got to do moving on the weekend. The court's got to be up and operating. They get a very short window, but everybody else is going to be a slow walk out of there. It's not going to happen by the end of April, I can tell you that. And that wasn't even in the REFI.
But it's definitely, there's going to be a period of time
when
it's vacant.
Probably by June, July.
That's a concern.
Yeah.
So at the peak of our, summer event season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I know that the Downtown Association has a couple of things that they would like to, First City Festival is the last weekend in July, and that plaza is very much in play in terms of that event. Mm-hmm. And being utilized. There was a lot of kid activities over there. There was, potato golf. There was cornhole, sorry, I was going to say corn row, but that's hair. That's not a game.
And there's a substantial savings for them if they're able to use the stage that's in the plaza and the power, as opposed to having to rent
a generator,
stage and a stage and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I think you got a consensus to get in touch with Nancy to make sure we know if there's a plan, and obviously we would want to input, and hopefully she will be asking the Downtown Oregon City Association for their input as well on that particular topic.
Okay.
So that's security. I agree with that.
So okay, we can certainly reach out and have discussions with the county about how we're going to secure it and the aesthetics of the building. Is it the commission wants me to ask the county to reach out to DOCA as well?
I think they should be asked, because they have events planned that are going to happen there, and we've got the president of the board sitting in the audience, and I'm sure she's going to nod yes, which she is.
Well, or would it be more appropriate for our staff to work with DOCA?
Well, either one.
And then take those suggestions.
They deal with
the county.
DOCA deals with the county right now when they want to use it for a venue, but if we want to take the lead, I think that would just be easier, be less thing for the executive director to have to do. And, I know that staff at the county has been reasonable about reaching back out when there have been particular issues. I guess in light of your comment and what I asked Chair Roberts is that could we take the lead in working with them on getting this meeting scheduled? I asked him, I said, how soon could we do that? And he says, well, you got to talk to the, the scheduler person. I was like, okay, no, I can't quite deal with that, but we could reach out to them I also have a meeting with Commissioner West tomorrow, so it's like Commissioner Week for me. I know, how lucky am I? So I will also ask him that question about how soon he's available to meet as well. Because I think, again, we need, you know, when I asked for the previous chair whether we could meet, she was kind of, yeah, about it. Anytime.
If there's the possibility of getting, and I don't know when all of their regular meetings are, and I know that many of them are during the workday, but if there's a possibility of getting a meeting time where one of their regular meetings and one of our regular meetings may overlap, or at least one of the times that we are regularly scheduled to meet, I think that would greatly help in scheduling.
Well, it's going to help. I'm very conscientious of your schedule with your workload, and it's not something you don't have a lot of control over it at this point. So I'm very aware of that. And I asked, and I said if we could have it like very late afternoon or early evening, that would be really great.
Okay.
Okay, there goes somebody. Right. We have under item number 10, we have a scheduling conundrum. We need to get the process for the DMMO going, and we need to review the Planning Commission applications. And we had a couple of dates that worked for everybody and didn't work for everybody. What can we do?
So, so I guess we tried to find some dates in February. We were unable to find dates that work for all five. We can try again. We could, is there a desire to have a smaller group of commissioners do the interviews, but bring it back for the full commission to approve? Or would the commission rather that for both the Planning Commission interviews and the DMMO interviews that all five commission members be present?
Well, I would ask you, I really want to make sure that you're there, but if a fallback and you can't be there, is that something you'd be willing to work with us on having the four of us do it, or a smaller group than that?
Well, I would like to be there.
I know,
so,
I'd like you to be there. And we had the 10th or the 12th, we're still, was the 10th and what was the other date?
I think this.
It was the 6th and the 13th.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's going to be difficult to get.
Well, it wasn't the 6th. I have my phone, I had the 10th completely blocked off. That was one of the ones that,
Yeah, I had the 6th and the 10th.
that Shauna had mentioned.
Yeah.
I think at this point, we don't have the candidates lined up because we didn't
right.
have dates that were set.
So now we'll push back.
Well, if they can come, they can come. If they can't, they can't. I mean, we have to do it when we're available. I mean, I'm sympathetic to that it's taken us a while, but, because I know the 10th is our Youth Advisory Commission, but if we can interview that day, could you miss that meeting? I mean, I feel comfortable with our staff and what they're doing, and, they're going to be breaking up into their committee meetings again, and that's not something we've been participating in. But I don't know what's happening with the other schedule that you have.
If we were to do 6:30, I could do that.
On what date?
The 10th.
Okay.
But this would be for Planning Commission?
Whoever, either one, whoever we can get. If we could do the DDMO, how many applicants do we have for that? DMMO.
How many did we have?
How many individuals?
How many have applied that we would be interviewing?
I believe it's 11.
Okay. The other thing that was suggested is that...
But we would not be re-interviewing the ones we already did.
Correct.
So does that factor into the 11 new applicants?
No, that's DMMO applicants. That's what I just asked. I wasn't talking about Planning Commission. We've interviewed one of the Planning Commission people, which we would not re-interview that person.
Right. We would not be re-interviewing Planning Commission members that already did interviews.
Right.
We have 9 additional Planning Commission applicants as well.
Okay.
The other thing that was recommended is that we could take a look at the applications and decide who we might not interview, which I think that was one of the suggestions, is that we could hone it down.
If we were ready to do that tonight, I'm not comfortable doing that via email.
No, I'm very prepared to do it tonight. I've looked over all of them, and that's why you sent it to us in advance. So I thought that that might be a possibility. I think if we can lighten our load, there's a couple of people in that list that I interviewed for other things that I can tell you, definitely one person on the 4 applications that they applied for, they didn't show up for any of them. So I kind of take that as, well, may not be very serious about this whole situation. Any of you others have looked at them? Are we prepared to do that this evening? Okay, let's do it then.
We're talking about the planning commission,
Planning.
right?
That would, you know, we reduce it down to those that we definitely want to interview.
It's up to the commission.
Yeah, that looks like we do, but how do we want to do that? Do we want to just say who we would interview, or do we want to?
Well, you said you had your list, and I've got a list.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, maybe on the good side, I'd say, okay, well, let's say, okay, let's go with who we would not interview. I don't have them in alphabetical order. We have one applicant that does not live in the city limits, and I would just take that person out. I got to get to that one. I think our city recorder made a note to say this person is not a resident. It was in red, so I'm trying to find the one that's in red. It was Rick Peterson. It says recorder's note outside city limits. So I would say Rick Peterson, Rachel Rawson, Linda Taylor.
You're listing ones you would not interview?
Yes.
Okay.
Another here, Michael Dunbar. I'm kind of on the fence with Mr. Green because he's already serving on our HRB and he's doing a fantastic job there. Say Clay Edwards, Sherry Bradford, I just will be appointing her to the Budget Committee. Mark Schwitzer. Oh, sorry, he's in. Travis Hollingsworth and possibly Carol Ann Drummond. So those are the ones that I would not interview.
So who made
who's
the
left?
cut?
Victoria Mining, Lane Elmer, and Robert Green.
Well, I would agree on 2 of those. I would agree on Victoria Meinig and Robert Green, and I had Clay Edwards on my list. And I would also, we have 2 openings, correct?
Yes.
I would also want to consider going ahead tonight and reappointing Bob LaSalle to one of those spots.
I would like to go ahead and wait and do them all at the same time. I think that's more expedient. Bob's still attending. He's still on the commission until we reappoint him. Does anybody else want to do that? If you want to do that, then you need to make a motion. He made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Was that a motion?
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't.
So, yeah, okay. So we moved to reappoint
I
Bob.
will move to reappoint
Right.
Bob LaSalle to the Planning Commission.
Okay, so we got a second. So let's have a vote.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I was going to do it anyway, but when we did the other one, so. So I've got 3 viable people on my list to take a look at.
And I have 2 of the same with 1 other one.
Okay, well, let me look at that other guy again. He was on my maybe list. So we could go with those 4? Does that sound reasonable?
Well, we haven't heard from the other folks.
I'm listing folks.
Sounds reasonable.
I concur.
Okay. All right.
So Victoria Meining, Robert Green, Clay Edwards, and
I had Lane Elmer.
thank you.
Okay, so what about DMMO? I always want to say DDMO, but it's not the DDMO. It is the DMMO.
So same question, would the commission, all 5 like to do the interviews for the DMMOs candidates? Yes.
I
okay.
think it's important
I
that we all
mean, I
do it.
agree.
This
We
is a
just,
big-
we just got to find a time to do it.
Okay, so we will send out another round of dates
Yeah.
to try to find a date for all 5 to attend to do interviews.
And how many of you said there were 11 people that applied?
Wow.
Do we want to pre-screen that group as well?
There's 11 of them. You're saying that the commission would pre-screen?
We would.
And we've got, what, 5 or 7 positions?
We've got 11.
How many positions are they trying to fill?
Yes, how many
Oh,
positions?
7.
7 positions.
I mean, I don't know how you're going to screen. You're going to
that
screen out 1 or 2?
Yeah, that doesn't screen down very well.
No.
I think we're going to have to.
I mean, there's going to be some people that are going to be more qualified than others, and if we don't find the right amount, the right number of qualified people, I am not supporting appointing somebody just because we have to fill a slot. We got to do this right the first time.
Yeah.
And I think we all feel pretty strongly about that.
So for planning, are we
Yeah.
going ahead with Monday?
Yes, that's the direction that we have. So,
Okay.
February 10th, next Monday, starting at no earlier than 6:30. And so we will reach out to the 4 candidates and see if we can fill those slots on that night.
Okay?
Okay, and then we will get another poll for...
Yes, he
okay.
said we're going to get another poll to do.
I don't think we could get through
Yeah.
the 4 of them and then 11
Yes,
that
yes.
night.
To be clear, because I was not the only one who was the only one on certain nights not able
Right.
to make it, to be clear. So,
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
No, it was
On my poll, it was
a
you.
colorful.
Well, in my poll, I was not the one out of the country for several weeks, okay?
Well, we didn't go past that date.
Right,
We were doing-
for, I think for very good reason, right?
I let staff know as soon as I was confirmed that I was going to be gone. So we were trying to get them done in late January or early February. That was the plan.
I rest my case.
I understand, but I cleared my schedule for everything else. It didn't matter what I had that night. I said I was going to be at whatever meeting we had.
Okay,
And I'm
let's
still
clarify,
there.
we have tomorrow night off.
Well, Rocky, if you want to do something, we can do something.
That can't
We can
be
make it
right.
happen.
That can't be right. There's got to be something.
I'm good having one night off this week. Okay.
What's a night off?
Yeah, well, I know.
Okay. So at the very last item on your packet is the list of folks that I have interviewed along with staff, and thank you to staff for helping out with those folks. And I think we have a really good group of people that have provided interest in kind of what the city is doing. Transportation Advisory Committee, Library Board, Arts Commission, Citizen Involvement Committee, Parks and Recreation, Natural Resources is coming up, and Budget Committee. So the only one that I did not see in person, but I'd already talked to him, as a Citizen Involvement Committee, and that was a recommendation from Gaffney Lane, and I happened to be at the meeting when they appointed him, and he volunteered, and I think he'll be a great candidate. The Budget Committee folks, there were 9 of them, and Mr. Zook and I put the pedal to the metal and got through them all that evening. So we still have a couple of openings on Urban Renewal Budget Committee, and that's going to get reopened so that we can get a few more candidates. And I have 2 people that we need to send something to because they've already come and chatted with me. I will say that a week ago, I got a request out of the blue. I won't mention the name. Somebody wanted to apply for the Planning Commission, and I said that ship has sailed, and the thing was they lived in Colton. So I said, nope, that's not going to help. So any communications?
No, we don't have anything tonight.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So a few things, and we've already touched on budget a couple times, and so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm glad to see that we've got some new members coming aboard.
Yes.
I just want to clarify, earlier we talked about comparing what was on the previous agenda item versus the 4th of July, and I just want to clarify that came out of the already existing budget for the concerts in the park as well as event grants. So that's not an apples to apples comparison, but I appreciate the point that was trying to be made.
Fireworks.
Yeah, and it was not fireworks.
We're not going there with fireworks.
Last week was City Day at the Capitol. It was
Yes.
one of the highest attendance rates that they have had, according to what I heard from the executive director.
Tell them which executive director.
Patty Mulvihill.
They don't all know who she is.
Well, saying her name isn't going to help them know who she is either, if they don't know her
She's the executive
already.
director of the League of Oregon Cities.
Yes, the one and only.
Yes.
So when I refer to the executive director of the League of Oregon Cities, know that there's only one. So we did have that, and it was a great turnout. Hopefully being able to send a cohesive message to our legislators about the importance of local government, of infrastructure, and home rule. On that topic of the state legislature, I just wanted to highlight a bill that came across one of my committees today for a public hearing, and which is likely moving forward. That is House Bill 3136. And this act lets more land professionals serve on planning commissions. So,
What does that mean?
So it would lift the cap, or it would lift the maximum of 2 real estate professionals who may serve on a city or county planning commission. And so I figured that might be of general interest and wanted to flag that for you all.
Why would they have a bill for that?
Because they want to have a bill for everything.
Yeah.
Well, because I think it's in state law now.
Yes.
So
Right.
they want to raise that limit.
Yeah, which.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, tell me the number again.
That's 3136.
HV or is SB?
HB.
HB. 3136, okay. Now, I can write them privately and give them my opinion about that. Thank you for flagging that.
Yes, so that is what I have.
Since not everybody may know, on the commission, which committees are you staffing?
I am doing the Housing Committee, Education, the Land Use and Natural Resources and Water Committee. They throw all of it into
All
that
into
one. And then Human Services. But we are switching some things around with some staffing, and hopefully I'll be able to focus on just a few.
That's a lot, Adam.
Yes.
Good grief. Are you like
And transportation.
4 people at once? 5 people at once? So I know that, so are any of our local folks in our immediate area, like Oswego, Wilsonville, any of our, like Representative Neron or Hartman or Senator Meek, are they on any of these committees?
Yes, and actually Senator Meek is one of the chief sponsors of the bill that I just
Well, he's a real estate
noted.
person. It's like, interesting, go figure on that one. And then I know Representative Hartman is now the co-chair of the Child Care
The
and
Human Services, yeah.
one. Anybody else in our area on any of these?
I'd have to go back and check
Okay.
the rosters, but.
Okay, that would be great if you could let us know, because that will kind of help hone us in on kind of what they're doing. I know that they're like trying to be in 5 places at once. So did you give the, our Youth Advisory Commission a little tour around the Capitol?
I did. I gave them a tour, and thankfully more of the Capitol is open right now. A lot of the best parts are still closed, like the rotunda, but maybe someday that will be complete. It was either getting the sound system in here or the Capitol reopened in my lifetime that I was hoping to see. And we have done one.
Well,
partly.
Are we still in the test mode?
There's still a few kinks to work out, but we're 95% done.
And we have some sort of a ironclad guarantee that if something doesn't work, that they're going to
come back.
All right, okay, that's good. Yeah, the Capitol Rotunda, or the Capitol, I can't say that, that's, how long has that been going on? Long time. I have a friend that used to be the chair of the Capitol Committee, the nonprofit that fundraises, and she was working on it for at least 10 years that I know of, and she's now not the chair anymore, so that's crazy. All right, any other communications besides, school's out for today,
Yeah,
but
oh, that was great.
coming back?
I'll just say that the End of the Oregon Trail Clackamas Heritage Partners / Historic Oregon City is having a retreat this weekend. So the same time we're having our retreat, although it's Saturday, Sunday, ours is Friday, Saturday, so I'll attend that on Sunday. But
So you're going to be in retreat mode.
I'll be busy all weekend, yeah. And by the way, our retreats are in town. And one's at the college, one's at the End of the trail, so they're not really, retreats, but.
Well, we are retreating elsewhere.
We are outside of the building, yeah.
Yes,
this building.
yeah. Yeah, I got her invitation and I said, well, I'm going to be over here.
Yep.
And I don't know if I can be over there at the same time, so probably not. Anything for you?
Yeah, I want to pass on a compliment. I assume this came from our communications folks, and I wish they were here. I'll pass this along. I got my neighborhood association postcard, and I'm assuming that this new design. No? Who'd that come from?
Sarah Peterson from the Hillendale Neighborhood Association
came up with
in her professional life did graphic design, and so after they saw hers that she did for her neighborhood association, she did it for that one as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think they're all going to start looking like that now.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
everything is in a little, like a thought bubble.
Yeah.
It's really easy to read, it really catches your eye, so congratulations to, what was her name, Sarah?
Sarah Peterson,
Sarah?
yeah. I get all of them.
And I hope they all adopt that format.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
We have been limited to some colors though, so because of the way it's printed now, it's printed differently. I think we can't pick pink or something like that, because I wanted like hot pink on something, and they said, nope, can't do that. So I said, okay, good. Anything you'd like to report out on?
Nothing at the moment, thank you, though.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah, you've made it so far.
I know, right?
He hasn't run away.
You haven't scared me off yet.
Yeah. I don't really have much to report other than I'm, on behalf of the city, I'm making the rounds to the schools to talk about the If I Was Mayor contest. I think if you saw the city's Facebook page, I didn't realize that the mascot for Tumwata had changed, but I should have, because it used to be the Cougars, and the mascot came up to me and I was like, that does not look like a cougar. And so I said to the gal, I said, what is this?
What is that?
Yeah, I didn't know. They didn't tell me what his name was or her name. I had no idea. But the otter came up to me and said, like this, because Otter wasn't speaking, went like this. And I said, oh, a picture? Yes. So I met the Tumwata otter. I have to find out what the Tumwata otter's name is. And I don't know what the principal said, but I walked in to the assembly, and it was like I had my own set of groupies. I mean, they were cheering for like 5 minutes, and I just went completely red. It was just like, oh my God. And I'm going to Gardner in another week, and then I have an appearance at Candy Lane, where our winner came from. I think Brittany now goes to Gardner, so I'm hoping I see her. I saw her mom the other day, and she mentioned that she was coming. So we hope to get some really robust applications for the Youth Advisory Commission to review. One of the schools is actually doing it as a project, so they'll be meeting in little groups of students to talk about it. We've got some traction from the high school. I know at least a couple of people that have told me they're applying for the multimedia presentation. So I think that'll be really kind of fun. I think, it's important for us to be talking to the students in our school district just about things. I mean, they do ask some interesting questions. I've made 2 rounds of, let me get the term straight. So they are scouts. So it's not Boy Scouts anymore, or Girl Scouts, it's scouts. And they have a badge that they need to get, which involves citizenship and community service. So the questions that I had last week were very serious, except for what is my favorite type of ice cream? How old are you? And what is my favorite Pokemon? I don't know why that one keeps coming up all the time, but I get asked that question a lot. But they had some very thoughtful questions, and this particular troop had 3 boys and a girl, and all their dads were there, which was really great, supporting them and helping them with this. So anyway, being no further business, we are going to adjourn.